Thank you.
Did you guys get a chance to take a look at the minutes from last time?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Would anybody like to
Oh,
make a
geez,
motion?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from last time.
I will second.
Alright. Oh, and I can take notes too.
Okay, if you're in it, that would,
Yeah.
I just tried, I had to take them for Sandy.
Yeah, I'll, here, I've got them all set to go, so,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Perfect.
And I hope it was, this morning's minutes, I wasn't, I mean, if you don't want me to do that, I won't.
I can do, oh, yeah, no, we're good.
Okay. I
Jump.
have a lot of spelling.
No, yeah, I was doing it very late at night and
Yeah.
just cranking through, so.
Welcome to my life.
Yep.
So next up is ordinance number 968. I don't know if we have anything else that we want to talk about for that, for the, solid waste fees. But tonight's second reading, public hearing, second public hearing tonight. I'm happy to introduce it, and I will
Okay.
talk to Dave to make sure that he knows
You
that
are.
I'm gonna introduce this, because I have it all set to go from last week, that.
Perfect.
All right.
That sounds great.
All right.
Okay.
Has anybody heard from any constituents, or are they savvy to what's happening? Are they,
Pretty much every person I've mentioned it to is just giving me a very hard eye roll, and that's,
yeah, that's kind of where I've got the,
yeah.
but at the same token.
Haven't gotten a lot of, like, discussion out of it, though.
No,
What do you think the eye roll is from?
I think it's just, like,
Morphe.
more fees, even though it's not more, it's just like, boy, like,
And
It's
when you explain it to
Uh-huh.
them, do they
Fees.
understand then, or is it just like?
the folks I explained it to, it's more so, I think, for the past problem that they're giving the OI
Okay.
to, where it's just like, Jesus, like,
Uh-huh,
how do we let ourselves get to here?
getting it here, right.
Yep.
And, you know.
Well, they should be happy then. We're
Right?
fixing-
Yeah,
We're fixing it.
We're fixing things.
Trying to do the fixins and the cleanins.
If anything, I would, yeah, I've gotten the same, people are just kind of like right with next type
Yeah,
mentality, which I feel really bad, that I'm like, this is, you know, we have to correct this.
yeah,
Or it's going to be even bigger problem further down the road, and you're going to have to pay even more.
Yep.
So let's get this at least transparent enough to where you see what you're doing, and
yeah.
I think it'll help.
And we didn't say anything about that at the business association.
We didn't, no.
Way to go.
Yeah, my thought on that, the reason I didn't bring it up is, one, timeline, and two, it doesn't necessarily have the impact on businesses as it does just individuals.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my thought process with it, is like, this is more of a different conversation and a different group to be talking to about it.
It's not business, it's individual.
I'm curious to see if anybody, so we are still up to look at our contract with Republic
Next year.
next year, and I wonder if this is going to impact anybody who's like, we need to move on from Republic, or if they want to look at other places where I'm kind of like, okay.
Well, I think we probably will, but
Mm-hmm.
if it's like the past, it won't be a,
There's no competition.
It's really, right, and so,
it's a no-brainer.
what are the
Yeah.
other options type thing?
Yeah.
And, I know Republic, I've only been here a little bit, but they seem pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They, for the most part, they are, they've
We had some
issues.
struggles this past summer,
Yeah.
but,
I think labor shortages, maybe.
Yeah.
yep, there's
But every time I've called, I've had nothing but, like, above and beyond customer service. They've helped me.
They're great
I
people.
mean, you're
They
talking about
are.
a garbage outfit, there's a
Yeah.
lot worse ones out there.
No,
I'm
and
not
I mean,
saying they're
they've
perfect.
replaced God knows how many
Oh.
garbage receptacles of mine. I mean, I've got ones that are, I'm like, okay, it's bear resistant, but the only way I open it is by knocking it over.
yeah,
So-
it's not the best logic for the, like, when I called, I'm like, this trash can's not working, like, oh, just tip it over really hard on its side and it'll pop right open. I'm
Just like a bear.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think I've had a very different experience with Republic, but I also deal with a lot
You have more than your own.
more.
You're like the single
yeah.
voice for a whole lot.
Yeah,
more,
I have
so I get
a
that.
large volume of people that we're taking care of. So, I mean, there's been weeks where I'm literally replacing out 6 cans. And we're still trying to get a bear-proof dumpster up at Bannock just because, like,
Yeah.
and they keep sending us the same dumpster and the bears can literally bend the metal back and get into it. Baby bears.
I have a neighbor, well, two of my neighbors have built fencing.
And that's probably, I'm excited for our conversation tonight with Fish Wildlife Parks.
Thanks.
Yeah, 'cause they said they only replaced like 20 bear trash cans, which I find hard to believe. And
Well,
Yeah.
I think you're gonna hear that,
A different,
did you read their report? Read the last page.
I read
They didn't even
the
keep
info-
stats on Red Lodge, 'cause there's so many bear problems.
Yeah, well, that's.
And I think they're gonna come out really hard.
I mean,
Yeah.
I got
They called and
30
wanted-
times this summer in my house.
Wanted me to get on this Bear Smart community thing, and I think they're gonna push really hard to enforce functioning cans, which is not gonna go over real good based on what I just heard.
Yeah. No,
And-
again, if they wanna do
define
that, they can
functioning.
enforce it to
Yeah,
Republic,
like if you take the cartridge out or you tape it over, then, and a bear comes there, then you're gonna get a fine, and they're gonna want the city to take an active role in policing that and enforcing that, I think. That's what the impression I got talking to him on the phone was.
I would really love a hotline.
True, Republic Hotline, let's add that.
Yeah. Like, I'm not even, I'm
No,
just like,
well, and
I wanna have recorded calls of how many times we have issues with that, either no pickup or trash cans breaking and not getting replaced when they're supposed to be.
Yeah, see, and I've had mine, like, I call on like a Friday and not Monday morning.
Tonight they're talking.
Yeah, it might also be your area too, like.
Oh, I'm right in the corridor, like,
Yeah.
I have, next to the garbage cans, I have the bear trap
Yeah,
all summer, so,
yeah.
which they told me how to release in the event that my dogs got into the bear trap.
Oh, Lord, okay.
So, I mean, there's that. I was
They were
like,
okay, weren't they?
Well,
my dogs
yeah.
never got in, but in the event
Oh.
that they did, he's like, hey, this is how you open it. And then I was like, should we put our kids in there? But we didn't.
Oh, yeah, you're probably like ground zero with bears.
Yeah,
aren't you?
Yeah.
100%.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely you are.
I have videos of bears coming into my house.
Nice.
Yeah, and where mama bear is like directing baby bears on where the garbage is and where my kitchen is. So.
Oh, my God.
That's our first rodeo. Yeah, that's another discussion.
Okay.
Anyway, I think, to answer your initial question, I think everybody voted for this.
Or,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody voted no.
okay.
There's a few reluctant yeses.
Well,
Well, and you were one of them, right?
Yep.
I mean, you've got.
Again, I
concerns.
see where we're at,
Mhm.
and I see that we have to, but it just sucks that we have to.
and that's where I'm at. It's just,
Yep.
it is.
And that's just all it is. It's like, it's a bummer.
Mhm.
Okay.
Next is, resolution 3648. And this is to, enter an agreement with the All Nations Garden Club,
Mhm.
care and maintenance in Pride Park. We've already signed an MOU, so I'll be interested to hear what you guys talked about at the land use.
We did not,
meeting.
it was
MOUs
more,
versus leases.
what we talked about the land use was more or less an MOU for land,
Mhm.
and then more of a lease agreement for structures. So for instance, I'm not gonna use, like, not the observatory, but maybe like, the ice skating rink. If you were ever to think, hey, let's put a cover on, let's put an enclosure.
Yep.
Then would we now go into sort of a lease agreement with it versus,
How about the airport?
you know,
I mean, similar type deal,
I
like,
mean, yeah,
again,
city
it's the same
land.
concept.
city land.
But,
You know,
yeah.
where you,
leases.
people are leasing the buildings and leasing the ground to, or they
They
own the
own the land.
buildings and they lease
Lease the
the
land.
ground, yeah.
Well, I can tell you from the ice rink perspective,
Mhm.
if they were charged to have, lease,
Mhm.
if they put a,
Well, and-
they would just be like, all right, no, you guys do it, go ahead.
Well, and even then, like, I was, I use it as an example, but then
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that would not be even a
Like
full
if-
structure.
Like,
It
if
would
they're
just
making
be-
money on it, I see that part of it,
Right.
but if nobody's making
And-
money, they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. then-
Leases don't necessarily have to mean that there's fees
Mhm.
associated, it just means different restrictions.
And I think that was
Yeah.
what the concern, and it wasn't so much, it's just that there is no actual SOP for how to control, and I think
Yeah.
the airport kind of drove it, and then the way the observatory was created.
Yeah. And I think the MOUs can just be a little loose for that kind of
Exactly,
structure.
because according,
development.
we had the MOU for the observatory, she had it pulled up, and the MOU actually is more for the entire Van Dyke Park.
Mhm.
and not just the structure. So then we were like, okay, so do we come up with something more for the structure? Do we need to be a little more tight with an MOU to include the structure? It was,
Is the idea that an MOU is rather loose and a lease is more of a legal?
right, in the
Yeah.
event that like, okay, so now there is a current structure, so like,
You have to have certain insurance on it, you have to have,
right.
your time frame is gonna look very different too.
Mhm.
What happens when that lease is broken, what happens to the land,
Well, and
what
that was the
happens to
main
the
thing, like,
structures.
if, in the event that with the MOU, they can give us 30 days to,
Cease and desist, and now we're stuck with a
and
half-built
now,
project.
yep. Versus with the lease, it's a little more structured and they have more
Yep.
rules and regulations on it, versus just abandoned building, we're done.
Yep, hate it.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
So I think that was where,
So in terms of the MOU for the garden club, I think that is
Yeah.
appropriate for that situation, where they're maintaining the,
area,
yeah, 'cause they're
land,
the fixtures, those types
Uh-huh.
pieces, but they're not necessarily, like, everything that's being constructed there is very easily also removed.
removable.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the event it needs to be.
Yeah, the benches and,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, and so this is just, discussion tonight, so,
Cool. I like the little edits that we saw come through, I think that it all looks really good
I
on this
looked through
end.
it earlier, I can print that one out, but yeah, it looks good.
anybody wanna introduce this tonight? I'm happy to if nobody else does.
I think you might know it better
I
than.
think you know the best.
Yeah.
Are you in the garden club? Are you part of the garden
I'm
club?
not part of the garden club, no.
I
But I
feel
did
like,
write the resolution, so.
I feel like it's, who was I just talking to? I think it was at our library board meeting that we were talking about the garden club and how the demographic of participants, they're trying to broaden a bit,
Mhm.
which I think,
Diversify.
yes, and I think it would be really interesting to see if they're able to do that with, some of their things that they're gonna do. But, yeah, it's kind of a core group of older ladies, and I think, the lady who owns the bookstore went,
Oh, cool.
you know, but she was like, it would be nice to have.
Well, especially because she's directly across the street,
Well, I
she has
mean,
kind
yeah.
of direct access.
Right, but, I mean, yeah, and I remember when I thought of the garden club, like I always thought of my grandma.
Honestly, I should get my mom in it, she would love it.
Or you go, or,
With all my free time, yeah, let's do
Well,
that.
thanks.
There's a reason
I'll
that
just
we
put that
don't
on.
see younger people doing these things, is because they're doing so many other
yeah, all the other things.
Yep.
To be in the area, yeah.
So, it's, just to reiterate, nobody has concerns about this MOU?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Good. Okay, thank you. And then next one is resolution 3647, resolution of intent to award phase 2 and 3 of stormwater projects.
Yeah, did you guys,
This is an action item tonight.
okay.
Chelsea, are you okay to introduce it? You did it last time, but
Yeah, it
turn
was
it over to.
messy, like-
Turn it over to.
I had no idea
Chad
that
Chad
it
will be
was,
there tonight too.
Okay.
Chad will be here.
oh,
I think that,
I
that
think
was a
that's-
really good.
turn it over
way
to
to
Chad.
do
And I think it's gonna do it the exact same way today, like,
It's very
just a very
complicated.
brief, it's a lot, and I wasn't here for a lot of the early phases of stormwater, so,
Good luck.
Yeah, and when,
yeah.
prior, it was very, like, Jim was really good about keeping, don't worry about it, I got it,
Yeah.
type thing, so we're like,
Mhm.
okay.
So, yeah, I can do a very brief introduction on that. I did have one question on it with the fees. That would just be ongoing, that $10 for the phase 3, like forever and always built in? Or is that
I think-
during a period of
I
time?
think technically for the term of the loan or until we pay it off.
And do we know what the term of loan is?
I think it's 20 years, but
Okay.
we're probably, I don't know, I mean, in Choto, we were really good at paying off loans early, and I get the impression Lonnie's good at that too. I mean,
And again, it's still something
So-
that we could use the 1% for, and that's
and
kind of what.
the other thing that so it's an SRF loan, so State Revolving Fund. They do water and sewer loans.
Okay.
Their water loans, they do a whole lot of forgiveness on.
Okay.
And they're gonna expand it this year. There's been people saying that they may, right now, they don't forgive any wastewater loans.
Sure.
Or stormwater loans.
Mm.
There's a rumor out there that there may be money available to start, not on the level that they do for water, but loan forgiveness on, and Red Lodge has all the boxes checked for forgiveness. We've gotten in the past. So, I mean, I'm not gonna say that that's gonna happen, but it's out there.
It's out there.
Cool.
It's in the universe.
Realm of possibilities.
Okay.
And I don't know if everybody.
Yeah, got that.
Okay, I don't know if I didn't send that out.
I think now, after having
Just a
2
map
weeks
of,
to absorb this
showing
a little
what
bit,
phase 2 and 3 are.
have a
Oh,
little bit better understanding of where we're coming from and
Yeah.
what the actual situation is. So I feel much better about it this go-around than I did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
well, that's why I was like, whoa, why, and I pulled this up today, and I was like, wait, what did I miss last week?
Yeah.
What in the world?
I see that you changed the bottom part on this from last.
Yeah, I just put in the
So-
fee increases, the other ones were added to.
Okay,
Oh,
so that's
okay.
what I was
So I just
wondering.
got I think they come out to be the same numbers, and those numbers they're estimates right now. We won't know until
Right.
we award, it goes to SRF, and they do they're gonna be within,
Yeah.
10%,
well, they'll be within probably 25 cents,
okay.
but,
That sounds good.
and
I
Great
like these
West,
numbers a lot better than these, but.
Which ones are you looking at?
Well.
one's an
Oh.
increase and one's a total.
80, which,
Oh,
I don't know,
no.
for some reason, 10 sounds a lot better than.
Yeah, so
13.
again, 2 copies versus, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
A coffee and a bagel.
Yeah,
Right.
and
I prefer the bagel, but.
And the big message on it is, you know, if we put off, like, part of this till for 2 years,
It's gonna be even more.
those numbers are gonna be worse.
Oh, yeah.
Cost of waiting is real now. It's
I do like
my
that.
On this.
I like
And then
Did you
the
put
other
that?
factor is,
No, this is, Mike put this together.
That's good, I like this.
Yeah,
but,
which is it in a nutshell.
and the last thing in there,
Executive summary.
having a good contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
That's
I've
huge.
worked on projects where we've got bad contractors, low bidder.
Okay, let's
And,
not do that.
but it happens,
Welcome to the government.
and we got a good one, so.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I've been
Just
happy
take
with
the ball and
them.
run with it.
Not only that, like, their crew, they've come and stayed at some of our properties, have done,
Really
for the
good.
most part, they've been really great. Kept
Mhm.
staying, like, and, you know, so I mean, they're putting money back in while they're here. Like,
Right.
that's one thing to consider too.
They
A
are
happy
pretty stuff.
consideration and add on to that.
Well, they are, and it is, like you say, they come in, they stay in our,
Yep.
you know, in the city, they spend their money here, yeah, I get that.
And then so then they're also going for the grant to repave curb gutters.
Yeah, and we talked about that today, we're one checkbox away from having that grant ready to send off.
Cool.
And it sounds like, you know, nothing's a sure thing until it's
Oh, yeah,
a
especially
sure
grants,
thing, but, that EDA grant, the people there, they like that project, and it's bizarre.
Yeah,
I mean, well,
Challenge accepted.
it's like a weird fit,
It's
and,
like Chad said, he's never seen a grant for streets,
right, and not
let
that, but
alone
it's
a
like
$3.5 million grant.
right, and it's also in technically an unaffected area. It's
Mhm.
still affected underground,
Right.
but like in terms of, like, if you were driving
Visual.
by, not a single place got wet here,
Yeah.
and, like, no, we're not doing damn thing down there with this money, so.
Well, but that's just.
Well,
what
but that's
makes
getting
it
that-
a
Right,
project.
again,
Yeah.
it's just
diverting that
interesting to
water.
me,
Yeah.
it doesn't have that visual
You can't really
satisfaction.
see, there's not a tangible item, you
Yeah.
can't be like, oh, this is where the money went.
And I know generally, like, not generally, but a lot of times in grants, like, they do want to have that visibility level, because part of it is a good faith piece, and people want to have those results, and a lot of times it's a marketing thing too, but,
And if we
not so
do
much for
get that,
EDA, but,
if we do get that grant, it wouldn't go out to bid till a year from now.
Okay.
cool. Okay,
So,
I have something to tell Steve, thank you.
that would be huge, that would be the biggest thing ever, if we
Yeah.
get that grant.
So you're not saying we're shooing, but we're
And well,
looking good.
It's optimistic.
Great West kind of, they make it sound like we're shoo-in. I
Okay.
don't like to get that,
Yeah.
I don't.
Not
I don't wanna jinx
until
it.
we have the check in hand.
Yep,
I got you.
okay.
Okay, thank you, Jesse, for introducing that tonight. And then the next one is a resolution to create Rodeo Park.
That's what this one was.
Yeah.
There's a couple different options on that, the way I have it
This one?
drawn there, it's the green area.
Yeah.
Not great.
And I talked to Dave about it, well, you can see the dark line there where there's a fence right there.
Uh-huh.
That little piece in there is kind of on the bubble, whether or not, because that's part of the grass
Airport,
runway,
yeah.
but
Which part?
This little bump
piece
out.
right here, this
Oh,
where it bumps
okay.
in,
Yeah, right here.
that may stay with the airport or it may go with the park. It's kind of,
Well, isn't that,
I guess that's up for discussion, he
isn't that
said.
little part of the emergency runway right there?
Well, it is, but I don't think it's
Isn't there a
functional
fence
because,
line though?
But yeah, that's what I
yeah,
was like, is
no,
there-
well,
no,
we'd
I
moved
think
the fence. But that little
No,
piece
that
is,
always park right here, next to that fence.
right, this little guy,
Yep.
so where it's
Mhm.
dark and light.
Yep.
And according to Dave, that's really not functional as a runway because of the other runway, it's raised and you can't
Yeah.
baja over it.
Or you
Well.
can.
Honestly, I mean,
Airborne.
I think
Just kidding, not
to
landing.
keep it clean for when it does, if it does become functional, just cut in, like, make the lines match. That would be my thought on that. But
Yeah, I'd like to see it, I like it like this, and we just.
it's cleaner that way, but
Yeah.
again, my thought is if you're gonna have something that might be utilized by these guys that might become contingent,
That's
like,
what I was
you
like,
know.
this, I feel like this could be a contentious issue.
Yeah, and I'd
down the
rather
road.
just like, nope,
Before we-
this is that space, that's that space, like.
There's
It's
the
kind of
fence.
weird park, 'cause it's basically a parking area.
Yeah, that's really
But
all
I
it
guess
is.
that's where people camp too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, they all
So-
camp in here.
camping, horses, and otherwise,
Teetering is all,
I'd like to see it stay parkland and
yeah,
then go into the airport.
agreed.
yeah, but, like, again, I'm trying to,
No, again, I would rather bump this part if it's already, like, if we already have
Like that.
airport development on it, then even if it's not currently functional, keep that airport development on it.
just to keep.
Or write it in very clearly with that MOU and write it in very clearly with the airport of how that space
That,
needs
that
to be.
space
Yep,
is controlled.
yep, exactly,
Yeah. In the event of,
exactly. So that would be my only point of, otherwise, I think it's great, and I'm really happy that the dog park is also separate from that, because,
and I was concerned about that, 'cause
I was
I
too.
thought the dog park, like, it was all gonna be all encompassing.
yeah,
And
So
then I
I'm-
was like, ooh, now,
I prefer the dog park stay separate, just 'cause it would be a real bummer during, like, you know, the rodeo, if they're like, oh, yeah, we're using this for a horse pasture.
Yeah, right? My dog loves horses, guess what?
Yeah, oh, man, the smells would be just phenomenal.
Mm. I'm not playing that.
So Mike, are you saying that just this round
Yep.
bump out or all the way down the whole
Just like I drew that line there,
Oh, so you're on the outside of the dark green. See, I
yeah,
was just sticking to the round part.
that's where the current fence line is.
Yeah, I would just say.
So like
stick
it
with
could
the
be,
I thought
it
the
can,
fence line was like right there.
it can be like it's colored, or it can be like I drew it.
Yeah,
So
And I
you're saying
think
the
it's-
fence line is here?
Yep,
I thought the fence line was right here.
Yeah, I thought it was along the runway.
well, it's somewhere, that's fenced off, I think it's just a low barbed wire fence or something.
Well, no, 'cause there is a fence, and
The
I,
fence here,
maybe I am thinking, 'cause I know, like I said, when I come up and when we're running Slack, this is where we park the trailers, are right here.
So this part right here is
What am I looking at?
there, with
Is
the
there-
airport boundary, there is a fence currently right
there
there.
is a.
Okay.
fence.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
I would
this
say
part,
just
right?
stick with the
Keep
air.
with the fence.
Yeah, stick with the fence.
So make this pink.
But this right here is gonna go away from the airport boundary,
Wait, now you're confusing me.
because that's what the mayor's working on.
Okay.
Changing
Yeah,
that.
he said it can
So
go
that
either,
won't be.
Public
So
property.
he's saying put a fence here.
Yes.
Okay, so this is,
Okay, that's what I would like to see too.
Yeah.
okay, so
Stick with
then,
the
so
fence.
rectangle stays, we're not doing the whole,
Yeah,
and I asked him about that, and he said, well, that's up for discussion, so.
okay.
But I
well,
think
if this
that
is,
just
if
keeping
this
it.
isn't,
well
See, I thought
drained-
that
we
might be a
don't-
long-term goal for the airport,
No.
considering it's,
if it's
There.
not, if it's not, one, if it's not utilized, or two, needed,
then yeah, then
Then-
it turns into park.
Then it's a good
Yeah,
part.
Again,
I mean, if Dave's working on,
Stick with the fences, that's my. And make the fences match, so there's no confusion for anyone down the road.
like the pretty fences.
Keep it.
All right, so
Okay.
we do have a resolution,
Okay.
which I had to search for. I was like, has anybody seen this? And I finally found it in my information, but it's a resolution of intent
Oh,
to
good.
create rodeo park to be used for open space camping and parking. Whereas the area described on Exhibit A, which
That
was
must
now this.
This is
I guess.
now A. Might want to put
It
that A on
was
that.
this.
Oh, no, this one's easier. I
Yeah,
like colors.
this one better too. Has historically been used by the public for open space, camping and parking, and whereas the area has been used by the public for parking and camping for events located at the rodeo facilities, including 4-H fairs and rodeos, and whereas it has also been used by the public for parking and access to Double Ditch Dog Park,
Yeah.
and whereas the city council of Red Lodge would like to explore the potential for establishing a rodeo park in that general location for open space, camping and parking, and whereas the potential rodeo park is located to the west of the Red Lodge Airport,
That's a resolution for you.
and therefore additional information is necessary to establish the boundaries of the park, of said park, and whereas, this is the last one, additional information and considerations may come to light in reviewing a potential park for open space, camping and parking. Now therefore be resolved, the city council hereby establishes its intent to create a rodeo park.
Yeah.
So, to be used for open space, camping and parking located to the west
It's
of
been
the
mentioned.
Red Lodge Airport.
I mean, it's like there's all the whereas, and then there's like, okay, so basically this,
Resolution of intent.
Breakdown.
yeah.
Hereby directs that the Land Use and Planning Subcommittee review any potential issues concerning the establishment of said park and to provide a report to the city council concerning its findings. So, yeah, so I guess we kick it over to Land Use and Planning?
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, or are we,
I mean,
is this an action tonight?
No,
No.
we aren't even, it's not even.
It's not even. a
Okay.
discussion on tonight,
We're just,
so-
Intent.
we're just getting ahead of it.
Okay, cool.
So, pass it to me, I will take it to land use.
Perfect. Is there anything that you want to see in that, other than what the mayor is negotiating?
No,
No, this is,
Nothing.
I mean, this is the existing fence, right?
Yeah.
So I can, that. And again, like I said, if this isn't if it's not needed in any sort of emergency situation, or if it's not
that was the way he
being
explained it
used
to me.
now,
Okay.
then,
So it could go either way, didn't
No.
matter.
I mean.
And it just looks cleaner if it's,
Yeah, I prefer the straight line,
I
but also
prefer-
prefer
I'm-
not to encroach.
Agreed. I mean, I like to drive on that runway.
Okay.
That's where I grew up. Safest place when you're a 12-year-old driving a car.
Okay, and then, the next thing is re-addressing project. I'm so sorry about my confusion about the actual date that Thomas presented. I don't think he was here tonight,
He was gone.
or he's
Yeah.
out of town tonight, so, okay. Anyway, so he's gonna present at the next meeting, and he's
Okay.
basically gonna do the same presentation. And it looks like you've been busy
Yeah,
with
Yeah,
this.
this is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
I mean, the big thing with this one is,
I like your dog.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be, it's gonna be
Pain?
create a lot of stress for people,
Oh, yeah.
huge amounts. And it may take years before Google and Apple get it in their stuff.
Well, I mean, I remember Tom Coley had come to us and asked us to readdress our little area, and by the time we got around to it, I would say it probably was.
It's
year and a
gonna
half,
be
2 years
it's
before we were
it's gonna
able-
be a real
And even then, I still have
issue
my
for
tenants ripping off my numbers.
residents, businesses, and the people in there,
Mhm.
And that's,
our office.
And that's probably why nothing happened with it.
I got a feeling.
Well, until, one of my tenants that says, keeps ripping off the numbers, actually needs an EMS call.
and so, I mean, that's one of my biggest concerns with it, is that impact, and especially Red Lodge, I feel like people tend to hold grudges a lot longer
So much longer. I mean, guilty.
We're gonna have like 3
Guilty.
generations bitching about this, but.
Guilty.
But that being said, I think for me, one of the bigger parts is talking to the list of,
And I think that's just a possible list, I think
yeah,
there's
we could get,
lots more you could add.
there's gonna be a lot more to that. Again, I think that that's what we really should build on and then have those conversations with
Yeah.
before moving forward.
And I think a conversation with the county
Yep.
tax people, how that's gonna go.
Exactly. In terms of county, again, where clerks and recorders there and doing titles and deeds, and I just think about all of the different ways that real estate is affected by this.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just
Punching an address.
one,
Punched in an
one
address.
thing, like, that's just one aspect, but now you're talking postal service, again, Social Security Administration, I didn't think about that one, but thank you
Medical,
for that.
everything, yeah.
Again, this kind of change is not easy, and again, there's gonna be little grievances, but it's the big ones that may potentially cost people a lot of equity, time, and money when
Yeah, but
trying to move
again,
forward.
it is only gonna be one
One,
time.
So it's gonna take a long time.
It's about one
exactly.
time. It's going to be, yeah.
When you say take a long time, are you talking about the physical
I
act
think
of
I like just
doing
the
a sign
transition
or
for
transition?
people. No,
Yeah.
I think getting the signs changed
That'll be the easy
relatively
part.
quick. I mean, that's,
Yeah, I
the-
was surprised
that's-
in the low number of labor hours that you estimated on it.
well, I just figured,
The hard part, like, agreed, it's the actual property owner that is now
You
then
got
going
2
to have to
hours
go
to
to
change 2
DMV
signs.
and,
at each
I mean, I think about how much
intersection,
work
there's
it was just to change my
There's only
name,
one sign
or
at
like
each
when I moved.
intersection.
let alone
So-
like,
2 hours for 2 guys to go
I
out
do
there
it
and
all the,
take out
like, last 20 years.
2
it's
bolts
like,
and
cool.
put 2 new pieces of
Give me a
metal
new
in.
address.
We have a conversation, okay, sorry, say.
So I just put in 2 hours for each intersection,
Uh-huh.
and then, which I think's probably,
seems reasonable.
that's, they're gonna do them faster than that.
Yeah,
So I'm looking at the blue dots,
Blue
and-
dots are
are the ones that are
those are the,
by renaming the street completely, right? 'Cause these are the,
no, the blue dots are the people.
Those are the ones that-
one-
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Those are the people those are the physical addresses that are gonna change.
okay.
Those are the people that are gonna have to spend a lot of time figuring out their lives.
mhm.
And those are the people that are gonna be calling here and coming in here,
Oh, yeah.
and the gals out there are gonna be busy with them.
I think, yeah.
Have we heard any feedback over the past few years, because this is not just a new discussion? Has anyone heard anything from those folks? Like,
Yeah, I feel like we should have a meeting with them,
yeah,
Was who,
Ooh,
with all the 151.
these dots.
these
yeah,
dots,
and I could,
like, definitely like
I
an
could come up with
open,
a list
Yeah.
of names, probly.
And we could send out a letter and
open
say.
forum, say, hey, Roosevelt
Right.
Center, let's,
Well, I mean, they
They
did
have
the
your,
same thing for us when they established the urban renewal district, and I thought that was great, did a whole informative thing, like, this
Okay.
is the process of what
No, I think that's
looks
a
like.
good idea,
and then
just
just
to
an
send
inform-
everybody a letter and say, we're kicking this around,
like
what
an
do you
informative
think?
town
And
meeting, like,
Yep.
hey.
Everybody
you can't
comes
make it, you
unglued,
Zoom.
because.
Well, and not only that, I
And you
mean,
know.
offer,
Yeah.
offer some sort of assistance, because think
Yeah.
of all of these who, one, are probably not, I don't know how many of these are elderly, how many are not full-time resident, how
Right.
many, like, if they need assistance
Right, and,
going through stuff.
and I think providing this list and
Mhm.
hardening up that list, like, this will be all the things that need to change. These are all the contacts, we have contacted them and let them know about, like, if there's anyone that we can even eliminate part of that problem, like,
Mhm.
to where they don't have to reach out to, say, the county,
Right.
or the clerks and recorders, or the post office, like, we
Yeah, like
already
if we
send
could
them
just
a
send them
list.
the list.
Send them the
updated
list and the-
address.
Like, if there's places where we can alleviate that,
Huh?
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, if city can do a mass,
like, just, yeah,
do a
man,
mass update to several of those places.
yeah, like, people are still gonna have to
where
go
they
get
don't
their,
individually, but then again, it
How
might,
I don't
number
mean,
is
what
gonna
do you mean,
change, just
the
gonna be
city
the
does the
just the
update
street.
for them?
so essentially, if there's any sort of place where we can work with them to provide the list of addresses that are changing.
so for instance,
To
if we
what
were to
their
go to the
new
county
address will
office
be.
and
Yeah.
say, here's the list of those changing, please.
Make those updates
Right.
within your system.
But it may also hold the property owner is accountable too, because how many are
Yeah.
like own a place and be like, oh, well, my
And I don't know
brother
if you-
Harry's
I don't know if
living
you can-
there.
I think the owner has to go change their address.
See, and that's what I'm wondering, is
You
like,
know,
I
I'm
don't know.
guessing because of.
Well, that's what I
If they
wondered.
It's probably a
didn't-
good question for Tom, since they've
Yeah.
done that before.
Okay,
And he said, that he can take care of contacting the mapping services
mhm.
and getting them, you know, all done at once.
He's also said that to me before, though, and I
Yeah,
still
but
have
I-
addresses that are wrong.
We had to deal with some
I took a
Google
wetland.
and
it's a white house.
Apple issues in Shoto,
Oh,
and they're still not resolved.
Or still not resolved.
No, and it was just a simple thing of, it got so bad that we were gonna shut down one street. When you come in Shoto, like people that are going from Yellowstone to Glacier,
Mhm.
from Glacier to Yellowstone, to Google, all the maps were showing the shortest route through town,
Oh, God.
which bypassed downtown and went right by the school.
oh, crud.
And you'd see people all day long, and they're coming off of highways when they turn onto this residential street. They're still
Flying.
doing 50, and they're looking at their phone.
Trying to
they're
figure out where they're
confused.
Mowing
going.
down children.
And
Mowing.
Oh, yeah.
There's a
so
reason
we
why
tried to
there's
get
a
them to
population
change
going.
that, and it's still, then we got to the point where we were just gonna we were gonna cut that street in half and make it into a parking lot by the school, so that
Mm.
you had to
Yeah.
turn around.
Yeah.
Kinda love that.
But it's still that way. I
Amazing
mean,
how many people rely on
after
this.
hundreds of letters,
Hmm.
we put in a bunch of speed bumps
There you go.
and radar signs.
Yep.
Okay, I was gonna, there's a side note too that I was going to ask.
What's that?
On your line of speed bumps and speed signs, Dave had mentioned that we are getting.
We're looking into it, yeah.
Are you gonna get
Oh,
one
it's
on
still,
78?
are we getting
we're
one on
looking at-
212?
We're
What are
looking
you
at,
talking
Do you know how many
we're
dogs
looking
I've
at
lost?
78 and 212 and 212.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I may be pulling out of my driveway much slower than I really need to, because people are coming down off 212 hauling. And I've already had, a couple of dogs whacked.
Mm.
No, I think it's a good idea. I talked to the DOT guys, and they're gonna check into encroachment permits for us and.
You can put one on my
I
property
was gonna say,
free
my
of charge.
property's right
Well,
I will.
not where we're gonna put the sign, it's probably not. It's probably in the right of way.
I'm right on that highway, so yeah.
Yeah.
But we have a fence, we put up a little fence area, and there's about a 3 feet area between there and the sidewalk that you're welcome to. I mean, I've got a teenager who's ready to run by it as often as possible.
Yeah, I would love one by my place, just for people going up more so than down, honestly.
Is this accelerating?
Oh, people love
I
to
get the
just
I get the
floor
acceleration
it
too.
going up my road,
They
so.
think that right by the, like, as soon as they,
Oh, yeah, you're in that's where it opens up, like, that's where
Right
you don't have people pulling out as much, like,
no, but, yeah, and then the chateau right there, I told my kid to be out there with just a bag of tennis balls.
you'd pull a Beth Steen and she used to just throw pine cones out in the road.
Yeah, but pine cones, I mean, you have to, like, tennis balls, like, bring it.
I wanted to get a water balloon launcher that was triggered by speed. It would just go straight for the windshield.
Anyway. All these science project ideas are going through my mind right now. Okay, so it's
So
still in.
can we back up then
Yep.
about that idea of sending a letter to all 151 homeowners?
Mhm.
Is that something, that we could look at doing after, presents at the next meeting?
Yeah,
I think that's. Is that, I mean, the cost of that, we need to talk to
It'll
Lon.
just be a discussion item, and
Mhm.
then,
Uh-huh.
And then we can even announce potentially when we wanna have that next meeting,
mhm.
or like that homeowner meeting, we can
Right.
announce it at that council meeting and have,
After the June.
I know, boy, howdy.
We've got a lot of stuff coming,
Can we just send one big update to the,
yeah.
like, here's your
Packet.
here's your monthly
Here's all the
packet.
things that you can be
Here's
mad
your
about right
packet.
now.
Yep. Here's reasons to be angry at the city.
Okay.
Yeah, and the,
All
I
right,
can-
Yeah,
let's
okay,
keep
wait.
let's keep this on the list for next time then.
Yeah.
I'll put a list together of
and on this budget, so you think truly total's gonna be 18,816?
for what we spend, not counting our labor
Not counting.
hours or
Okay.
if you
Hours.
scroll.
Okay,
So we did, set aside 40,000, just still set aside
I
for
think
that.
there's 40,000 there, but
Yep,
We have
It'd be
40,000 set.
you know, a bunch of hours, but we're
Yeah.
getting, I don't think, I mean, it's not like,
yeah, I'm just kinda wondering if, like, how much of that money
We're
could
paying
be
guys
utilized for office hours for alleviating stress for residents. If that makes sense, does that make
well,
sense?
Well, I
are they
think-
gonna hire somebody else in there?
I think if we have that meeting
Interns.
and are proactive about it,
Yeah.
they're gonna have a lot less.
Again, as long as they have,
I mean, they're still gonna get people
Mm-hmm.
complaining.
right, but as soon as they have ample notice of it.
You might have a meeting and decide it's not worth it, too, if
Yeah,
everybody's
and
up
we
on it.
might change our mind, we might be,
Yep.
if, I mean, basically 8% of the population, 8% of the addresses are affected, and if all 8% of them are like, no,
No.
we wanna hold this up, we don't care that it's important for, safety reasons.
Yeah.
I mean,
Then teach.
that's our job, right?
Mm-hmm.
To
Listen to the people.
Listen to them, yeah.
listen to them,
If they
but
don't-
also to make decisions for them, on their behalf.
Did
So,
I mean, would it help to have the fire department or the police write a letter of support?
Absolutely,
Have
yeah,
that in the packet
absolutely.
too?
I think that should be.
And I think they
And
should be
or in
there
the
at
letter
that
we
meeting.
I
send
do
out.
too. I think
Well,
they most
we can
definitely-
send it with the letter to them.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's it, like, you send them a nice little, like, this is what the plan is, this is what the implications are, this is the reasoning, and then people can come and speak on it, get a more detailed presentation that can be available for,
I mean, it can't be any worse than changing your name after you get married, I'm just gonna say that.
it's so bad.
That's
so bad.
that's a lot of things change.
You guys are lucky, man, just
I know.
saying, like. I'm still in process, sure, I mean, that's
There's,
2 years. Also, we got married during COVID too, so
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's
all the
right. You were all-
offices were closed, like, yeah, that was,
Okay,
all right.
all right, I think that's a really good plan.
yeah.
Agreed.
And last but not least, we have impact fees, and I see that you put on here that, capital improvement plan is currently being updated with hopes to be complete by spring 2024, and that, we should hold off on this until that is.
Yeah, I think that the study's probably gonna utilize the capital improvement plans, part of the justification for the fees,
Okay,
so
Yep.
just wait.
it's kind of a tool.
And when, so spring is?
That's what I was like,
By
that's
June,
now.
or? what do you
What's
think?
that?
Or do you wanna just let us know when we should pop this back on the,
Yeah, let's get, I think sometime after the CIP's done,
okay,
and that's somewhat of a moving target.
I'm looking forward to, like, actually
Wrong.
cruising through this whole thing. So I did have a couple of questions that I brought to him.
When I asked Lonnie, that was this year, that was from June to now,
This
was
fiscal year.
this year.
Okay, gotcha. So that was
On the-
one thing I was curious on, if that was this fiscal year, if this was year-to-date, if this was last year,
What-
full year, what these numbers came from. So
Okay.
there's, water impact fees collected this year equal to 72,520. And then
Sewer was
Sewer-
one
Oh, down
seven.
here.
so this
Okay.
is 2020.
3 through 24 fiscal year to date.
24 fiscal year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then like the ear tag portion of the sewer, after looking into it a little bit more, Lonnie, she originally told me they were gonna pay off the lift station loan with that 400,000, but it turns out they already paid it off.
Okay.
So they're gonna pay
So
off,
this is already,
the last sewer project, and it's actually less, it's like 290 or 300 we owe on that, so there'll still be $1 million in the impact fees for sewer. And it's pretty likely that the 16-inch bypass project will absorb
All of that.
those. And we are gonna try to, because they're coming out with that additional forgiveness money for water, we have that project and another water project kind of in design phase right now. We might, I haven't quite wrapped my head completely around it, but if we put the projects together and do a loan for them and use that money, then we could probably get like both projects done and only be short after the forgiveness like 400,000. out of $3 million worth of work.
Huh, okay,
So if
cool.
we can figure out how to put the projects together and be able to qualify for the loan forgiveness, it'd be a big win. I mean, to be able to get
Oh, yeah.
$3 million worth of work done for, I mean, that's not counting, that's $400,000 out of pocket, not counting our fees.
So once you guys do have your capital improvement plan done, would you be able to update this with
With-
all the stuff that you just
Yeah.
said?
Oh, with new numbers, yeah, by then we'll have, yeah, definitely,
More
'cause we'll
definite
have, right now, what we're waiting on for a lot of, for those two water projects they're both 90% designed, and they can't do an estimate of cost if they're 100% designed, so that's kind of what we're waiting on there.
So I did have a question on this, because I was always under the impression that the 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, that was, like, for sewer, that would be your out, right? Or is it actually truly just based off the water going in, and that's how they determine sewer?
That's really certain
Oh,
sewer.
God, that just saves me, like, so much money.
Say that, say that again.
Well, basically,
Surface size is
the
the
water's
incoming?
In.
metered.
Yeah, okay,
So
so
how much is coming in?
before was under the impression that if you had a 3-inch sewer line, you would be paying $33,000. But it's actually, if you have a 3/4-inch service line in, you're paying $2,800 for sewer. So
But that's just your impact fee.
right,
yeah.
I'm aware, and that's why I'm thrilled right now.
As you're building?
Yeah. So one thing I did do, so obviously that does help these numbers substantially, because one thing I did a little math, and so I want to figure out how many permits were issued in the last year, because based off this number, if it was the 3/4-inch, just going with baseline, that's
Is
only.
that what the majority, sorry to interrupt, is that what the majority of services
Most
are?
are one.
Most
of
are
them
one.
are one.
I mean, well,
Most residential?
I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I-
Who would have a 6-inch?
Yeah, that, who would
I
have
mean-
this residential 6-inch?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Is what, so like.
I mean, this is what they generated in 2007. I mean,
So
you
we
could-
don't know if anybody even has a 6-inch.
Yeah, I mean,
It
like,
would be like a water
a
intensive.
hospital might have,
Hospital.
Yeah.
a big
Maybe the
line,
brewery.
but
But then it's still, again, residential though.
but
Right.
like on something like that, they'll go with like a 2 or 3-inch service line, and that won't be enough for their fire suppression.
Mhm.
But fire suppression line, I don't know how Red Lodge deals with it. Basically, there's no impact fee for that.
It's, built into this, it looks like, within the ordinance.
Could be, yeah.
So your impact fee is per line coming in. So if you have a line that's big enough for both your fire suppression as well as your irrigation, as well as your home, like, that's what you're getting charged on, is that line coming in.
But like a lot of hospitals and schools and, like a civic center or something, they'll have whatever, a service line coming in, and they'll have a separate line, like a 6-inch line coming in the building
Yeah.
for fire.
So I have a separate.
But I don't
fire.
think there's another fee for that, like this.
Huh,
So from what I read in this, is it looks like
It's absorbed in this.
if you have two separate lines, you're getting charged for both of those. So for instance, if you have 3/4-inch for your water, but you have 4-inch for your fire suppression, you're paying both of those fees. That's kind of what it looked like when I read this.
That's not the way, I didn't read
well,
all
I
the way
mean,
through
'cause
that.
you're,
I was surprised.
you're putting in two separate
normally
lines.
the fire lines,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would, I can see why you would be charged for two, but I feel kind of like there should be,
Yeah, I can't remember, I highlighted a bunch of stuff I had questions on.
maybe trapper keeper?
A trapper keeper, yep. I do.
I do think it's important that we get an impact study done,
Oh, yeah.
just 'cause we're past due on it, and they're coming under some heat
Mm-hmm,
in other states and even in Montana.
are they? Yeah, I wanted to read that article that you had printed out.
Yeah, I think the big issue is that proportionate share And that could be, and then also just commingling of funds, so,
Makes sense. Sanitized.
so that was one thing I did have a question on. So there's this section that's just grayed out, and this is for that multiple building service agreement. So if, for instance, a PUD, like you have a development of 6 townhomes
Mm-hmm.
go in, and you're using one line, you can work on a multiple building service agreement, and this could also work for apartments, for affordable housing, where it's a different negotiated rate for that service line going in, but ours literally has been, like, taped over. We don't have an amount there. Or, well, actually, it's the section that would be establishing it. It looks like that never got established. And so I'm curious, like, there's a few other questions I had on it, and again, we can get these answered as we move along, and no big rush on it at this point.
Right. let's get
Well,
that
I'll
idea.
touch base with Brian tomorrow, and he should be able to tell me how many building permits and,
Impacts.
and
Yeah, 'cause
what was
like-
the other question you had?
So, how
Oh,
many
what-
building
what-
permits?
What's happened with the money?
Yeah, if there's a
Well,
ledger for
obviously, yeah, that-
expenditures from the budgets, and also any interest accrued, because again, this has been in place for almost 20 years, so, like, what kind of interest we're looking at in the, because it's supposed to be an interest accruing account. And then, has there been any multiple building service agreements, and what do those look like? What is the fees that we have had in the past? Like, 'cause it sounds like it's
Yeah.
almost negotiable, because we don't really have rules for doing that. The big reason I ask about permits is when I did the math on this, if we collected 72,520, that's only 19 new constructions. And I feel like we've had a hell of a lot more than 19 in the past year.
Yeah.
'Cause this also counts for Remington Ranch, Woodlands, anywhere.
Only for sewer in Remington Ranch.
So, but still, I mean, that's, and that might be why this is a little higher, that would track there. But that was just kind of my curiosity, is like, okay, like, I feel like we have had, and that's why
Is that the ordinance? Or the,
this is the ordinance here.
I feel like I had that somewhere, and
I saw it,
I could
I
email
didn't
it
print
to
it.
you, I think I got it on my computer.
But yeah, I just wanted to kind of confirm, because if there has been, because one of the big reasons we want to look at this too, obviously we need to,
Right.
but
And
also, it's,
also, like, if, like, they're building that, or what's it called, Red Lodge, something up there,
Cross Circle 17.
no, on Broadway, just,
oh, yeah,
up
like the
from the-
4-unit right there by
yeah,
the
it's gonna be
Lupine.
5, yeah,
Oh,
5.
is that what they're planning?
But-
Yeah,
But
so-
there
Across
they've
from-
got, I think they have, there's 3 water services in those lots, so
Okay.
they're only gonna pay 2 impact fees
Right.
for water. Then I think they'll pay off,
Be amazed if those are still in
I'm not
decent
sure,
shape.
we had it all
Mm.
figured out the other day, but I think they might be paying all 5 on sewer or not, I can't remember.
I would imagine so, 'cause I had that place listed. I'd be amazed if even those, those services are any good at this point. I'm sure they're not, but that being said, you don't pay an impact fee for broken services,
The
so,
main line back there is bad too, so.
yeah, it's pretty,
We gotta fix that.
it's real gnarly.
That whole area is,
where's
Yeah.
that?
Right by the Lupine, where that one house was, the abandoned house for years and years that just got
By
torn down.
Jacqueline?
Yeah.
But Jacqueline owned that one?
Mhm.
Does she still own the land?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
That
Oh,
got
that's
sold,
because they're making that, little, like,
Yeah.
6 unit,
apparently 5.
5?
Yep.
Started out as 7, now they're talking 5.
Mm.
So it's expensive. So, again, be curious to see if we did have those, because for units like that, but more so for workforce housing, like, if you're building a place with, like, for instance, our goal was to build our office below an apartment up top.
Right.
And if we can, like, have multiple units and have those agreements to create those workforce housing pieces, like, if you have someone who wants to do an apartment and you're not having to pay for a line in for each one of those units, that would be awesome. Like, that could help save us some money and help
Mhm.
provide that encouragement and development that we've been looking for.
Right.
So, again, it'd be very interesting to see if we have done those, what those look like and where those have been issued, and why. Like, just so we have kind of a parameter of,
Hmm.
how those decisions will
I'll
be.
get all that tomorrow and email it to you.
That'd be awesome.
I can email that ordinance thing by the.
Yeah, that would be great, thank you. I feel like you gave it to us already, but
What's that?
I said, I feel like you gave it to us already, but I
Well, I don't think
can't
Oh.
find it.
A while ago, like,
Yeah, it might be in my other binder. I have a secondary binder that I don't carry around because it's too heavy.
I know, I
I
need
had a
to,
binder, and now I've resorted to just one folder, 'cause my folder for my binder very quickly got very large.
all right.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty good headway. I'm very curious to see what that study comes out to say. And, because there's a lot of factors that it's like, okay, we have,
Well,
how much has been developed since this originally
but then
was
again, I
done?
keep forgetting, like, I'm so used to seeing development, and I'm like, oh, wait, that's not city. Like, what's impacted in the city and all the development in town.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even golf
think
course,
it'd be-
yeah.
I think it'd be worth looking at, 'cause I think some of those other towns had street impact fees, and
Mhm.
park impact fees.
Fire.
One place had trails, yeah, public safety.
Yeah, that was.
And I think our water and sewer impact fees are, I mean, if you compare them to other towns, they're pretty high.
yeah.
Yeah, they are, they're in, I think only Whitefish was.
You guys
Yeah,
wrapped up?
yeah, I think we're
All right,
done.
well done.
Closing. Adjourned.
Bye, everybody.